The submissive is blessed because they will inherit the chosen one. Peacemakers are fortunate and have faith, as they will not be God's children. If you leave now, Faith, you will miss out on an experience that you will never get back. The events that are unfolding are not arbitrary, and the fact that you are hearing this indicates that a process has already begun. This moment was premeditated. You were purposefully directed to this location, and the consequences are irreversible. Choose one, pause your current activity, and listen carefully. Wow, this is not a coincidence. It's an interruption. Things will never be the same in your mind after hearing what is coming, as if a line has been crossed. This is an urgent message that must be addressed right away, rather than later. The information you are about to receive will challenge your preconceived notions of comprehension and resonate with a depth that goes beyond logic. It is understandable that you may have reservations about this assertion. However, please remain patient. Your eyes may burn, your thorax may tighten, and something will change within seconds. Not because of emotion, but because you are being directly addressed. Yes, you, the pain you carried quietly, the battles no one saw, the prayers whispered when you thought time was running out, and there is a reason those prayers were not answered as you expected, but that part has yet to be revealed. God is about to reveal a truth so powerful that it will awaken the dormant part of you in an instant. This is a summons, not a source of comfort. The event you've been anticipating is neither distant nor postponed. It is rapidly approaching you, and your spirit is getting ready to meet it. Your silent yearnings and faith-filled prayers were not in vain. Hear, mark, and initiate. The moment you thought would be postponed has already happened. Currently, an invisible phenomenon is in motion. The request you made is no longer relevant to the future. It is a transition to the present. The Bible says, "I will respond before they make a call. I will listen to them as long as they keep communicating." However, a threshold must be crossed to ensure that the upcoming arrival is not misaligned. This is the point at which many people oscillate. If your faith is not strong enough, this breakthrough may go unnoticed. This is a warning shaped by mercy rather than terror. Moments like this are fleeting. The door may close while you are still deciding whether you are unwilling to embrace the calling that has been placed on your life, or if you are hesitant to step beyond what has been promised. Today, Scripture reminds us that if we hear His voice, we should not harden our souls. A limited window is now opening. However, for those who are aware of their inner vision, an irreversible process begins. The upcoming event will go beyond the realm of language. It will calm you down, not through confusion, but through acknowledgement. You will realize that it was never in the commotion, but rather in the stillness that followed, as Elijah did on the mountain. A profound transformation that changes your perception of yourself, time, and the responsibilities you were born with. No, your presence here is not accidental. Once this truth is revealed, retreat will no longer be considered a viable option. Identity will grow, and purpose will demand an answer. You will also understand why it was never possible to leave the situation after hearing the following information. Please listen. The outcome of this situation is dependent on the present moment. Heaven is not silent because this moment is still active. There is movement that is invisible to the naked eye. A convergence that will have eternal consequences. This is not a gentle reminder. Rather, it is an official call. Your name was mentioned in the release. The moment it happened, the focus shifted. Something in your life has reached its appointed time, and what moves in the shadows has turned towards you. The Creator of the stars has chosen you. The subsequent events are not typical insights. Rather, they constitute revelations, For a long time, you doubted the significance of your actions, the effort, the waiting, and the unanswered questions. You felt disregarded. You noticed the silence and wondered if it indicated an absence. However, Joseph was remembered in the prison before his revelation in the palace. The truth now echoes in the place where doubt once lingered. You were never obscured. You were never terminated. Your presence has been observed, identified, and monitored since the beginning. Furthermore, the current opening acts as confirmation. God has been preparing you for precisely this moment. And now you're caught up in the moment. There were no arbitrary elements. Not the silent sobs. It wasn't the duress that nearly broke you. Not the extended period of anticipation that went beyond your expectations. Every measurement was in accordance. Each incision had instructions embedded. You can now perceive it. The atmosphere is distinctive. This is more than just another chapter being turned. At this point, everything began to bend. This is the point at which the divine recognizes the essence that was implanted within you years before. You cannot deny the rise of what was previously ignored. The stone that the builders rejected has been transformed into the cornerstone, as stated in the Bible. The current situation is more important than personal satisfaction. Your ascent is significant to those who previously overlooked you. Individuals who left during times of hardship. Individuals who were confident in your anonymity. What was intended to harm you has successfully served its purpose. You are no longer being properly prepared. Your identity is being revealed. However, there is a truth that has been intentionally hidden until now. This is not because you were overlooked, not as a consequence of your failure. However, the preparations were heavier than you had previously been able to handle. You've been perplexed by the delay for years, wondering why doors remained closed and responses were delivered at such a slow pace. However, beneath the silence, a more profound entity was emerging, unseen and unaffected by the world's noise. I see. The sensation of waiting was a form of protection. Timing was the source of what appeared to be denial. Heaven withheld this revelation until your spirit was strong enough to retain it. You were never meant to operate on the world's time. Isolation, rejection, and prolonged periods of solitude. Scripture claims that none of this was a loss. Paul, wait for it, despite its lingering. It will arrive without delay. The interruptions were deliberate. They were aligned. A construction project was proceeding without interruption. You were being enveloped, molded, and expanded into a form that was larger than your previous self. This was not a form of punishment. It was a result of formation. Currently, the constraint is being lifted. What was previously dismissed as small or broken will soon face what has been forged in secret locations. The delay served its purpose. The subsequent developments will not be overlooked. Let us pause for a moment before proceeding. This is not a random occurrence. If your spirit acknowledges this truth, it indicates a current revelation. Therefore, refrain from proceeding. Allow yourself to be fully present by taking a moment of silence. I am requesting that you perform an act of accord in your spirit, which may appear simple but has profound spiritual significance prior to our continued discussion. Initially, like this video, allow the touch to become more than just a habit. Let this be a declaration. I agree with the words of God that are spoken over my existence. Second, subscribe and stay engaged, not just with a channel, as we aim to reach 10,000 subscribers, but with a constant stream of messages from heaven to keep your spirit alert, aligned, and discerned. Third, Please write 999 or 777 in the comments and include your city and country. Allow this to serve as a subtle but powerful symbol between you and the Lord. I'm currently alert. My spirit is receptive. Om. I am ready to receive the truth you are revealing. Please let me know if you are inspired to support this ministry through your words, petitions, or the Super Thanks feature. You are not just donating. You are a co-laborer, a partner in this divine mission standing beside us. Your assistance is not haphazard. Consent is the term. I agree with your manner of expressing, Lord, I am confident in your guidance and committed to your protection. The doors that banged shut were never signs of failure. They served as safeguards. They prevented you from accepting anything short of your full potential. The period of anticipation has ended. The moment has arrived. Many people resist the truth because it is painful to face. Paradise frequently replants you when life appears to be burying you. You could feel the pressure building up, as if the entire world was collapsing at once. There were evenings when you wondered if you'd ever come out of the darkness. You were never stranded underground. Jesus stated that you were placed there on purpose. A grain of wheat remains unaccompanied until it is buried in the ground and dies. However, even if it dies, it produces a large amount of fruit. What you saw as an end was actually a period of concealment before growth. During that difficult time, the foundation of your growth was laid. Anguish, loss, and fracture. None of it was wasted. It was a slow-moving process of fortifying oneself. You believed it had been completed. In reality, this was only the beginning. The weight is currently being lifted. You are not just entering the illumination. You're bursting through it with force, authority, and an undeniable presence. Those who dismissed you will notice the pressure that was applied. They will be left speechless by the current events. You're not returning the same. You are emerging transformed, stable, and unmistakably alert. Nothing in the universe can resist God's words. Not fear, not people, and not the things that once scared you. The declaration is published at a specific time. When the heavens declare, I have spoken, and it will be fulfilled. I shall deem. At that point, all of the constraints that had previously held you back begin to unravel. Every fabrication that contributed to your misery, every chain that persuaded you to be modest. It is impossible for any of it to endure, and it is impossible to change the course of events that have already begun. For a long time, your decisions were influenced by dread. You allow others to judge you based on your flaws, implying that your fantasies were exaggerated. Your request was also excessive. However, according to Scripture, a superior word has now surpassed all inferior ones, based on their assessment of your capacity. The Lord has established a plan, and who will invalidate it? Even your previous hesitations cannot negate the declaration that has been made. It makes no difference what you went through or who withdrew when the situation became difficult. When the time is specified, the authority to delay is forfeited, and you enter a period in which stagnation is replaced by movement and resistance by momentum. This is a dispatch, and it represents acceleration. What was once an impediment to your progress is now forced to acknowledge it. What has already been said cannot be slowed by anything on earth. You felt invisible for a long time, and the contents implanted within you were kept secret. Your gifts are subdued, and your fortitude went unnoticed. You watched as others advanced while remaining hidden. Inquiring whether your time would ever come, those years of concealment were not lost. They served as containment. You were intentionally separated during a sacred season, during which you were refined by duress, and your spirit was trained by silence. However, isolation was not a form of rejection, but rather a protective measure. You were protected until your presence could no longer be denied, and while it appeared that nothing was happening, a steady growth was taking place within you, resulting in the formation of depth. Discernment was being honed, strength was accumulating in areas where no one could intervene, and the hidden object was being fortified. The universe that previously ignored you will no longer be able to do so. What has been built in remote areas is now ready for inspection, and that restriction is being lifted. It is shaped in obscurity, but what rises conveys weight, clarity, and authority. This emergence was not unexpected, even for those who were skeptical. It was planned. Furthermore, what is currently visible will not gradually fade into obscurity. Do you recall how the night's sleep would not come when tears weighed more than words, and your soul felt pressed on all sides? Those hours were not void, they were influential. According to the Bible, you have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Nothing went unnoticed. The silence in which no one witnessed your fracturing created the foundation for the formation of something eternal. Each tear, cry, and whispered supplication was collected with purpose, and the form of those emotions is currently undergoing a transformation. What was once flowing from suffering is now ascending as authority. As it is stated, what was intended to weaken you has been converted into strength. The same person who saw you break in private is now discharging power through you in public. Your voice is a testament to the weight of the traumas you have endured. Your right to speak, adjust, and command movement beyond what the eye can see has been derived from the suffering you endured. Pain has completed its mission, and the truth that remains is backed by force, and that power can no longer be concealed. Heaven is about to lift the veil, revealing every hidden syllable. The subdued judgments made when you were not present, the things said about you in the dark, are losing their significance. The upcoming exposure is not intended to harm you. It is a revelation intended to clear your identity. The truth is ascending, and it is not aligned with rumors or distortions, but rather with destiny. You were misjudged, misinterpreted, and unjustly ignored, but the time for falsehoods to flourish is coming to an end. The whispered words will not stand the test of time. Heaven is now publicly announcing your identity, and every false label will crumble under the weight of the truth. You will be perceived as you have always been perceived above, not as defective or discarded, but as chosen, born, and entrusted with purpose. You remember the times when rejection answered before you could speak, the doors that shut without explanation. It was as if existence itself was expressing not you, not yet, or not at all. You appeared unattainable, despite the aspirations you protected and the paths you believed were meant for you. However, there is a secret. You were never informed about those closed doors. Restraint was the underlying cause of what appeared to be rejection. Those doors were not closed by accident, but rather with deliberate intent. You were being protected from entering prematurely before the contents of your being had fully developed. Those closures were not the end. They were intentional pauses that created space for doors that would not only open, but also acknowledge your presence. When they open, they will not question your worth. Instead, they will react to it. Prepare yourself now. As a result of the reopening of previously barred doors, your name will be remembered by the locations that declined. The same spaces that dismissed you will seek you out when the weight of your purpose is visible and the burden you bear becomes undeniable. The subsequent opening will not be devoid of content. Rather, it will be accompanied by the silent realization that they misjudged you, as well as the opportunity to be acknowledged. Instead of reclaiming what was lost, You will be releasing the qualities that were developed in you during the interim period. When you pass through those doors, you will be transformed, composed, and ready to change the environment in which you find yourself. A meticulously planned movement is on the rise. Teens, something within you has been triggered, causing the atmosphere to shift and become energized with movement. What has been growing in seclusion is now ready to emerge. The unseen is now paying attention. You have not wandered aimlessly. You have been guided through a precise process that was designed specifically for this hour. Every moment you chose to rise instead of retreat, every quiet victory and every struggle witnessed by those assigned to keep watch. The force that once held you in check is now eroding, and your support is growing as you take on the authority that has always been yours. This isn't just about personal development, it's a convergence, a moment when the visible and the invisible come together. Individuals who previously protected you in silence are no longer passive. They are accompanying you on your relocation and understand that the time has come. This is the next step you were meant to take. What you once carried as fragments, as murmurs of possibility, is now beginning to manifest. The dreams that were silently residing within you are stirring with clarity. Something has changed, and the evenings ahead will be different. The upcoming events will no longer be hidden, and your goals will take on new significance. What was once considered disorganized or symbolic is now poised to communicate with precision. These are no longer fragments of the imagination, but rather indicators of the future. According to the Bible, in the last days I will pour out my Spirit on all people. There will be no void in your nights, and heaven will greet you there. Your children will be able to predict the future, your young men will see visions, and your elderly males will have dreams. Upon awakening, you will be acutely aware of the events that occurred. These visions will be delivered with clarity rather than confusion, and their direction, alignment, and purpose will be directly related to the person you are becoming. Your perception will not be arbitrary, as was the case with Joseph, whose destiny was revealed before it was revealed to others. Feifei, you will immediately recognize its significance, and you will understand that this is instruction, not imagination. You were ignored, pressed, set aside, and counted out, but a path will begin to emerge where uncertainty once reigned. You've already walked through the fire. Others believed that the story had ended, and that the buried objects would never resurface. However, when God is involved, burial is never the end. What appeared to be a grave was actually a place of transformation. They attempted to bury you, believing that the weight would be fatal, but the object they pressed into the ground became the site of an unbreakable entity. Something more authentic was being cultivated in the most profound darkness, and what is now emerging will exceed their expectations in terms of beauty, fortitude, and purpose. The pressure did not crush you, rather it refined you, and your ascent seemed to be based on dirt. Each trial became a heat, each struggle resulted in force, and the brilliance that is now emerging is unexpected. You are not hurt. Rather, you are transformed into a more powerful, clearer, and sharper version of yourself. When you take the initiative, the same voices that questioned you will recognize what they overlooked. This is not a soft breakthrough. It incurs costs and has historical significance. It is characterized by its capacity for endurance. You endured battles that were not celebrated by anyone. You maintained your stance when it would have been easier to give up, and that perseverance is important. The tide is currently shifting, and this is not an arbitrary favor that you are entering. It is the result of each moment in which you chose to persist. Fire has finished its task. You are being refined, not diminished. Opposition may persist, but it will not be a hindrance. This season is more than just a passing one. It is an affirmation of what was accomplished through enough delay and resistance. The impediment to your progress is gradually being disassembled, and you are no longer the sole bearer of it. Your support is growing, Retreating is the result of what has been done to you, and it is impossible to undo what has been established in you. They used to laugh at the items you were carrying. They mocked the vision they couldn't understand. However, they didn't realize that the vision was being shaped in fire, not to destroy you, but to prepare you. Each trial carved out strength, and each obstacle served to clarify the goal. You were never broken. You were being crowned, and what was once ridiculed will now be recognized. They were mistaken about your identity. You are the person you were meant to be, and fully embracing the current opportunity will not only serve as proof of your success. It will recount the narrative of all the adversities you faced, the life you managed to survive, and the subtle influences that influenced you throughout your life. Nothing was wasted. Nothing went unnoticed. As you progress, you will have proof that you were never abandoned, and what was previously hidden is now as obvious as a sore throat. Something extraordinary is on its way to you within the next 72 hours, and it is no longer a distant possibility or a vague hope. Your life is about to be directly impacted by what has been aligning beyond your sight, and while you may not be able to identify every detail, the transition has already begun. What was once thought to be impossible, what felt permanently closed, and what remained just out of reach, is now beginning to move. The events that have been occurring in silence will not occur quietly, and this change will not happen gradually. It will happen suddenly and clearly, like Peter stepping out of prison while the chains fell without resistance, and you will know it is not a coincidence. It is timing. What has been planned cannot be mistaken for chance. Your faith has brought you to this point, and now what you have waited for is stepping forward in an unexpected way. Don't let the present moment fool you. What's coming up far outweighs what you're seeing right now. Stay alert. Keep an open mind, because what has held you back for so long is about to let you go at once. The weight of regret, the memory of mistakes, and the fear associated with your past will not be released gradually. It will be broken in an instant. You have carried history for too long. And now, a different word is being spoken over your life. The transition has already begun, and the chains are breaking now. The weight of old wounds, failures, and losses no longer has the right to hold you. What once wrapped itself around your identity is losing its grip. This is not a gradual healing process. This is a dispatch. What has held you back is being cut away with precision, and it will not happen slowly. It will happen unexpectedly. One moment you feel the familiar pressure, and the next it's gone, shattered, powerless, like Paul and Silas in the prison. When the doors open without warning, what held you will not negotiate its exit. It will fall, and you will instantly feel lighter, clearer, and more awake than you have ever been. What you used to be is fading, and something unburdened is rising. Shame is no longer appropriate. Fear no longer defines you. You will see clearly that your future was never bound by your past. The walls that once surrounded you are crumbling, and the freedom you sought is no longer far away. Step forward. This is the start of a new season. A shift has already begun, and what you are about to enter carries victory rather than struggle. The chains have been removed, and you now have control over what happens next. Prepare yourself. Heaven is arranging connections with precision, releasing encounters with weight and timing that cannot be ignored. You are about to cross paths with people, moments, and opportunities that will forever change your life. You asked for direction, and now movement has begun. What follows will not feel random but guided, a conversation that lingers, a meeting that shifts something inside you, an opening that appears unexpectedly but feels strangely familiar, like Philip being led to the Ethiopian on a deserted road. As these encounters unfold, confusion will give way to clarity, and you will feel the guidance even before you understand it. They will come at the right time and place. As the Bible says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. You will begin to see things differently, not just the road ahead, but also yourself. What was dim will become visible, what was scattered will begin to align, and pieces that never seemed to belong together will suddenly make sense. These pivotal moments will reveal the pattern of what seemed disconnected in the first place. For a long time, you carried potential quietly, strength unseen and purpose misunderstood. But what has been dormant is being activated, and what begins now will lead you directly into what you were always meant to become. What was hidden is about to be seen, not to elevate you, but to reveal what was placed inside you all along. What has remained hidden is now being uncovered at the right time and in the right way, and the fullness of what you carry will be obvious. You felt overlooked, passed over, and underestimated, but you were not ignored. You, like Esther, were quietly prepared for such a time as this, and what was forming within you required protection before being exposed. The time has come for the wisdom, skill, and depth you've kept hidden to be revealed, and those who see it will be surprised. People will recognize that timing like this cannot be manufactured, and this revelation will go beyond personal fulfillment. Watching your life unfold, you fought unseen battles. What they see will speak of precision, patience, and power beyond human effort. As what was dormant rises, it will awaken purpose not only in you, but also in others. During times of isolation, you felt as if you were alone in the face of adversity, but your strength was built upon the foundation of your struggles. Scripture says, "We are hard-pressed on all sides, but not crushed." Every tear, every silent night, every moment you thought you couldn't bear was shaping your capacity. Pain became refined. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. What used to hurt is now fueling a movement, and your scars have become proof. You are not a survivor clinging to what remains. You are defined by what emerged from it. The obstacles that once slowed you down will now propel you forward. You are a victor stepping into what was planned. The storms you faced did not destroy you. Rather, they prepared you. And now another storm is approaching, not to destroy, but to release. What is coming will pour out blessings, clarity, and momentum. The potential that has waited patiently is now awake and ready to move. This is not a storm sent to destroy you. Rather, it is a surge that will carry your breakthrough. Change is coming fast, bringing favor, opportunity, and momentum that you could not have created on your own. What once resisted you is realigning. Forces that pushed you back are now pushing you forward, ushering you into the next phase of your destiny. Welcome back to the community of light, chosen soul. Before you continue watching this video, I need to make sure you understand something. 6 months ago, you made a decision to start a clock. No, you were not aware of it at the time. At first, you thought you were simply choosing to heal, take a break, and maintain your peace of mind. However, heaven saw a different reality. Heaven saw you entering a phase of preparation for an upcoming encounter. And every action you've taken since then, every boundary you've set, every healing session you've attended, every journal entry you've written, and every prayer you've whispered has been a prelude to something specific, for someone specific. They have also been monitoring the situation. Not God. He was already aware of the strategy. Not angels. They were assisting with the execution. An individual from your past hired a private investigator to conduct an investigation into your life over the last month. They were curious about the activities you were doing during your isolation. They wanted proof that you were either thriving in a way that made them irrelevant or that you were disintegrating without them. Instead, they received a result that shocked the investigator and terrified the person who hired him. Neither of them expected prophetic preparation to occur, as the surveillance system inadvertently recorded an incident. Dun dun. The footage clearly shows that you were preparing. If you've ever felt prepared for an event but didn't know what it was, please leave the word prepared in the comments section. The investigator began this assignment with straightforward goals. Document daily activities, take note of any significant relationships, track emotional state through behavioral patterns, and create a profile. Usual tasks. He was given a 30-day period to complete the document. However, by the 7th day, he realized that this was not a common occurrence. Because you did not lead a conventional lifestyle. You were living with an intention he'd never seen before. Not the kind of intention that stems from performance or ambition. The type that comes from someone who is aware that an event is approaching and is preparing to face it with fortitude. Day 1. Monday morning. The investigator accompanied you to your therapy appointment. You arrive at 9 a.m. every Monday. He has kept it in his file for the past 5 months. Suggests ongoing mental health maintenance or crisis management, standard observation, and the subject attending regular counseling. However, he neglected to include it in his file and was unable to explain the scene he witnessed when you emerged from the building an hour later. You had a distinct personality. You were neither happy nor sad. You were unambiguous. It appeared that a substantial object had been placed on the ground. You remained in your vehicle for 10 minutes, gazing straight ahead and breathing. Then you took out a small notebook, wrote a message, sealed it, and returned to your home. Following that, the notebook became a recurring feature in his surveillance photographs. Never being left behind, always being written in, and always being there for you. Day 2. It's Tuesday afternoon. The investigator followed you to a bookstore. You went straight to the self-help section, without any browsing or searching. He photographed the titles of the 4 books you purchased. Limitations, When to be Positive, and How to Decline. The body maintains the score. Adult children with emotionally immature parents. Set boundaries and achieve tranquility. You bought all 4. I walked to a coffee shop. I spent 2 hours reading and highlighting. The investigator observed from the window. Your level of concentration was high. You weren't reading for entertainment. You were actively studying, taking notes, and underlining passages. You paused at a certain point. Close your eyes, exhale deeply, and wipe away a tear that had fallen. You immediately resumed reading. It seemed like you were on a mission. As if you had a limited amount of time to learn a critical skill. 3rd day. Wednesday evening. He pursued you to a storage facility. You rented a small unit 6 weeks ago, according to his research. You went into the building with your hands empty. I stayed for 45 minutes. Exited without any possessions. He was unable to see your actions in the space, but he did take note. The subject frequently visits the storage unit. The contents are unknown. Potential evidence of a secondary relationship or asset concealment. He was mistaken on both accounts. However, he would not learn this until later. The investigator was not aware of the storage unit's contents and could not have known. It wasn't an asset. It was not proof of the existence of an additional person. This was a room that was scheduled for closure. Within that unit, you had designated a space for the release of the past. All of the gifts they gave you that you couldn't throw away but also couldn't keep at home. Every card, every photograph, each relic of a relationship that has since ended. You packaged everything and stored it in that location. Not to keep at a distance. You go to the location every Wednesday and sit with it. One box is open. You examine a single item. You recall the significance of what you received. You are affected by whatever happens. Then you speak aloud to the empty room. You say things like, "I relinquish the significance I have bestowed upon you. Currently, you are just a matter. I'm no longer under your control." The box is then sealed. Secure the device. Leave with a lighter load than when you arrived. This was not an example of hoarding. This was a ritual. It was a process. This was healing at your own pace, with respect for your humanity. Thursday morning, day 4. You did something that caused the investigator to sit up and pay attention. You printed an item in multiple copies. He watched through your window with a long-range camera, which is a common type of surveillance. You were using your computer to design a project, print it, and then insert the pages into 6 envelopes. Each item is identified by its specific name. His distance rendered him unable to read the names. However, he noticed your expression as you applied the seal to each one. I'm not incensed. I am not discouraged. Calm. Successfully resolved. As if you were completing a significant task. You have not mailed the envelopes, despite stacking them on your kitchen counter. They remain seated, awaiting action. If you have ever written letters that you were unsure about sending but felt were necessary to write, please click the like button. In any case, it's Friday afternoon, day 5. The investigator followed you to a department store. Section for household items. You acquired picture frames. 7 of them. Different sizes. After that, you went to a print shop to get the photographs you had ordered. He observed you in your car, inspecting each item individually. Some of them made you smile. Some prompted you to take a moment. Some required you to exhale deeply before proceeding to the next one. They were photos of you. Photographs of people alone. You have been residing in various locations for the past few months. At the beach. In the park. At a coffee shop. I'm by myself. Everything is tranquil. You drove home and spent the remainder of the evening framing and displaying the images in your apartment. Older photographs are being replaced. Images in which you weren't alone. Photos of people who are no longer in your life. You removed each and every one, replacing them with images of your solitude. You're recovering. The 6th day of your new chapter began on Saturday evening. You extended the invitation to 2 others. The investigator witnessed the incident from the opposite side of the street. Usual behavior. Social interaction was observed. However, the events that occurred during that visit were far from typical. He observed you through the window, getting together in your living room with these acquaintances, laughing, engaging in conversation. However, at a certain point, the conversation changed. One of your acquaintances extracted a piece of paper, started reading aloud. The investigator observed that your expression had changed. I'm not incensed. Emotional tears are flowing. However, you were absent-minded. You were listening to your friends as they spoke. You remained at your window for an extended period of time after they had left. I am not making any observations. Or perhaps approach everything from a different angle. He was unable to comprehend the recent events, but he did record it. He was unaware that your friends had just read you a letter they had written together. A letter that provides a detailed account of how they have observed your progress over the last 6 months. They noticed your fortitude at every opportunity. Every time you chose for yourself, it would have been easier to return. They followed every boundary you set. They set aside space for each tear. They commemorated each victory alongside you. They documented everything in order for you to see yourself from their perspective. To be aware that your development has not been concealed. Your transformation was observed. That your courage was recognized. And as they read, you realized how profound it was. You weren't recuperating alone. Despite your feelings of isolation, you were receiving support from the community. And that realization sparked a change in you. 7th day. It's Sunday morning. The investigator made a decision that fundamentally changed the situation. He entered your apartment while you were at church. I'm not proud of it. Illegal. His license may be revoked. However, his curiosity had turned into an obsession. He required comprehension of the material he was viewing. He had 20 minutes during your absence. He went directly to your bedroom. I'm looking for the notebook you've always carried with you. He found it on your nightstand. When I opened it, everything fell into place. This was not a diary. A timetable for healing was set. Every page was assigned a date. Each entry demonstrated a significant accomplishment. He realized he was reading the roadmap to your transformation. The original entry was made 6 months ago. The day you decided to end your toxic relationship. The day you chose for yourself. From that point forward, each subsequent entry served as an indicator of progress. Establishment of boundaries. Work that encourages healing. Moments of foresight. Month 1. Today, I disclosed the abuse to my therapist. This is the first time I've said it aloud. I wept for an hour. However, I did state it. 2nd month. The number was blocked. I deleted their photos. I won't be returning. My God, please help me avoid returning. 3rd month. I set a boundary with my mother. I declined. She was distressed. No, I didn't offer an apology. This is an expansion. 4th month. I see them trying to establish an energetic connection. I'm aware that they're considering me. I'm aware that they will return. Please, God, prepare me for that moment. Month 5. I am writing letters to everyone who has caused me harm. To release rather than transmit. Forgiveness is intended for me, not for them. 6th month. Last night I had a dream. They stood at my door. I opened it. I maintained my composure. I was bouncing. I was prepared. I delivered the information that was required. I then closed the door. When I awoke, I could tell the moment was approaching, and I will be prepared. The investigator stood in your bedroom, observing your private thoughts. He also felt something for the first time in his career. Shame is not restricted to the act of breaking in, but for participating in a scheme to violate an individual's privacy while performing the most difficult task a human can perform. Restoration. Restoration of health. Anticipating a confrontation with the person who caused them harm with fortitude rather than resentment. But there was more. A folded piece of paper was tucked inside the notebook. He opened it. The letter was not addressed to a specific individual. However, it was clear to whom it was addressed. After reading it, he realized that he had the client's most desired item, evidence of your true emotions and access to your inner world. However, the contents of the document failed to meet their expectations. To the person who has caused me harm and will undoubtedly return. I'd like to inform you that I've been transforming into someone you won't recognize for the past 6 months. I did not change my behavior just to spite you. However, I was forced to adapt in order to survive you. You thought you were leaving me in a shattered state when you left. Additionally, you were correct. I was, but my glass had shattered. After being melted, a new substance is formed. A more potent substance. Something which cannot be broken in the same way twice. I'm aware that you will return. I am not aware of the exact date. I'm not aware of the process. However, I am confident you will. People consistently return when they realize the value of their losses. And when you do, you must be aware of several details before approaching my door. Initially, I forgive you. Not as a result of your inquiry. Not because you deserve it. However, I am entitled to peace. And forgiveness is the key that unlocks the prison in which I was incarcerated. I release you from the obligation you owe me. I present it to God. I'll no longer transport it. Second, reconciliation is not the same as forgiveness. I am able to send you my best wishes from afar. I am able to offer prayers for your recovery without participating in the process. I can release you without allowing you to re-enter. You cannot have access to this version of me simply because you were aware of the previous one. That version was discontinued. Also, I'm not resurrecting her for your sake. Third, I've established boundaries that I won't cross. I'll refrain from giving an explanation. I'll refrain from advocating for them. I will not engage in any negotiations about them. They protect what I built while you were away. Furthermore, you are not permitted to be present if you are unable to show respect for them. Fourth, I am not the same person you recall. I no longer need your assistance. I do not need your approval. Your authorization is unnecessary. I am aware of my worth even without your confirmation. I've discovered my worth in people and places beyond your reach. Additionally, that version of myself is unable to accommodate your former self. Finally, I want to assure you that I am ready for your return, which is unavoidable. We are unprepared to receive you again. I'm prepared to confront you without breaking down. Prepared to tell the truth without quivering. Prepared to set boundaries without feeling guilty. I am prepared to close the door if necessary. Prepared to deal with any outcome. Isolation during this season was not punishment. It was an act of preparation. I appreciate it. I am worth more as the person I am becoming than the relationship I lost. If you are unable to celebrate this, you are not welcome here. With tranquility rather than animosity. This is who I am right now. The investigator reviewed the letter 3 times. He then folded it meticulously. Return it to the notebook. Return the notebook to its nightstand. Furthermore, he returned your apartment in the same condition in which he found it. He spent an hour in his car thinking about what he had just read. He then did something that surprised even himself. He contacted the client. Please share this video with someone who is currently in the preparation phase and is unaware of the extent to which they are building strength. The conversation continued for 4 minutes. The investigator declined to provide additional information. Did not violate your privacy beyond what was already in place. He stated it quite simply. I have finished this assignment. You asked me to determine whether they are in pain or healing. I discovered the information. They are healing in a deliberate, powerful, and holistic way. Additionally, they are preparing for your return. I am not ready to return with you. Getting ready to confront you as the person they have grown into. Whoever that person was, they are no longer with us. If you return to them at this time, you will not be resuming your previous relationship. You will be held accountable for the relationship you have shattered. Are you prepared for that? Silence overtook the line. Subsequently, the client posed a query that altered the entire situation. Was my name referenced in their journal? Are they considering me in their life? The investigator conveyed a statement to the client that he had never previously made. Indeed, you are on their mind. They are offering prayers for you. They are lenient toward you. Additionally, they are in the process of releasing you. They are aware that you will be returning. They have encountered it in their dreams. They have experienced it in their souls. Not for reconciliation, but for preparation. In order to conclude, regarding boundaries, for the sake of tranquility. Furthermore, the inquiry is not whether they are prepared. The inquiry pertains to whether you are. The client has not returned the call, has not requested any updates, because that conversation provided them with precisely what they required. Additionally, precisely what they did not desire. Confirmation that you are flourishing. And evidence that they are no longer required indicates that they are thriving. However, I would like to inform you of the events that have transpired since that telephone conversation. They have been unable to fall asleep. Not due to guilt, although that is present as a result of realization. For months, they entertained themselves with a narrative in which you were the evil character, where your withdrawal was a form of punishment. Your silence was a form of manipulation. Additionally, that narrative shielded them from the necessity of examining their own conduct. But the investigators' words shattered that narrative. And now they are sitting in the wreckage of their own choices, attempting to ascertain how they became the individual who required employing a person, to observe an individual whom they purport to have cherished. They have been perusing outdated text messages, reading conversations from before things fell apart, seeing the moment you started pulling away. And for the first time, they are witnessing what they previously refused to observe. Your boundaries were not rejected. They were self-preservation. Your distance was not cruel. It was survival. Your silence was not punishment. It was protection. And they missed every single warning sign because they were too focused on their own needs to see yours. 3 nights ago, they drove to your neighborhood, did not knock on your door, did not even get out of the car. I just sat there for 2 hours, looking at your building, trying to build the courage to go up. But they could not, because they finally understood what the investigator was trying to tell them. You are not the same person they remember, and they are not ready to meet who you have become. Because meeting the healed version of you means facing the broken version of themselves. And that is terrifying. Now let me tell you what you need to understand about your part in this story. You have been in a preparation phase. Not for a relationship, for an encounter. Heaven has been getting you ready for a specific moment. When someone from your past is going to reappear, and that moment is closer than you think. But here is the beautiful part. The preparation is not to get you back together. The preparation is to make sure you do not fall apart when you see them. To make sure you do not compromise your boundaries when they show up with tears and apologies. To make sure you do not second-guess your growth when they try to convince you that you overreacted or that they have changed. The therapy you have been attending, that was preparation. The books you have been reading, preparation. The boundaries you have been setting, preparation. The letters you have been writing, preparation. The healing timeline you have been documenting, preparation. All of it has been getting you ready for one moment. The moment when the person who broke you stands in front of you and wants back in. And in that moment, you will have a choice. Not based on emotion, not based on history, not based on hope. Based on wisdom, based on boundaries, based on the person you have become. Drop the words, "I am ready," in the comments. If you feel this message is preparing you for something specific, let me give you the framework for that encounter because it is coming. First, you do not have to open the door just because they knock. You are allowed to say, "I am not ready for this conversation yet." You are allowed to take time. You are allowed to process before responding. Urgency is manipulation. Wisdom waits. Second, when you do speak to them, let your boundaries speak first. Do not start with emotions. Start with expectations. If we are going to talk, here is what I need from this conversation. Honesty, accountability, respect for my time and my healing. If you cannot give me that, we can end this now. Set the tone. Do not let them set it. Third, watch their response to your boundaries. That will tell you everything you need to know. If they respect them, there might be room for dialogue. If they push back, guilt trip, or try to bypass them, that is all the information you need. Boundaries reveal character. Honor the revelation. Fourth, do not defend your growth if they accuse you of changing. Say, "You are right. I did change. I had to. And I am not going back to who I was to make you comfortable." Your transformation does not need their approval. Your healing does not need their validation. Fifth, remember why you started healing. It was not to prepare for their return. It was to free yourself from the version of you that needed them. And if in the process of this encounter, you start feeling that old pull, that old need, that old hope, pause, breathe, reconnect with the person you have become. That person does not need them anymore. That person is whole without them. Sixth, be prepared for them to have changed too. Growth is not unique to you. They might show up different, humbled, healed, accountable. And if that is real, if it is sustained, if it is proven over time, maybe there is something to rebuild. But do not confuse one good conversation with lasting change. Character is revealed over months, not moments. Seventh, trust your peace. If something feels off, it is. If your spirit checks you, honor it. If you feel pressure to decide quickly, slow down. The right thing will still be right tomorrow. The wrong thing will reveal itself if you give it time. Eighth, protect what you built. You did not heal to go back. You healed to go forward. And forward might include them if they can match your growth. But forward does not mean backward. Do not sacrifice your boundaries to revive a relationship that died because there were no boundaries. Ninth, know when to close the door. Some conversations need to happen so you can move on, not so you can go back. There is power in saying, "I heard you. I forgive you. I release you. But I do not want you back in my life." And that is final. Closure is not cruel. Closure is clarity. 10th, celebrate yourself no matter what happens. Whether this encounter leads to restoration or finality, you showed up whole. You showed up healed. You showed up boundaried. And that is the win. Not them coming back. Not them staying away. You're okay either way. Before we go to prayer, I want to give you 3 declarations to speak over your preparation season. Say these out loud every morning for the next 2 weeks. Let your voice carry authority. Let your spirit align with truth. Declaration 1. I am being prepared for something specific. My healing is not random. My growth is not wasted. Everything I am learning right now is equipping me for an encounter that is coming. And I will be prepared. Declaration 2. I do not need anyone from my past to validate my present. I do not need their approval to move forward. I do not need their acknowledgement to know I have grown. My transformation is between me and God. And that is enough. Declaration 3. When the moment comes, I will not shrink. I will not people please. I will not compromise my boundaries to avoid discomfort. I will show up as the person I have become. And I will honor the work it took to get here. Now let me pray for you. And as I pray, I need you to receive these words as prophetic declarations over your life. Father, I come before you on behalf of every person who is in a preparation season right now. You know what they are getting ready for. You know who is about to re-enter their life. You know the encounter that is coming. And we thank you that you have been faithful to prepare them. Thank you for the therapy sessions that felt hard but were healing. Thank you for the books that spoke truth when they needed it most. Thank you for the boundaries they have set even when it felt uncomfortable. Thank you for the tears that watered the seeds of their transformation. Thank you for the isolation that felt lonely but was necessary. Thank you for every single thing that has brought them to this moment where they are ready. God, I pray for strength for the encounter that is coming. Give them clarity in the midst of emotion. Give them wisdom in the midst of nostalgia. Give them courage in the midst of pressure. Do not let them shrink back to who they used to be. Do not let them compromise what they have built. Do not let them forget why they had to leave in the first place. I pray that when the person from their past shows up, they will see clearly, not through the lens of who that person used to be, but through the lens of who they are showing themselves to be now. Give supernatural discernment. Let them see past words into character. Let them hear what is not being said. Let them feel what is being hidden, and God. Whether this encounter leads to restoration or finality, let them walk away whole. Let them walk away proud of how they showed up. Let them walk away knowing they honored themselves and you in the process. Do not let the outcome determine their worth. Let their growth determine their response. I speak protection over their peace. Let nothing and no one steal what they have fought so hard to gain. I speak clarity over confusion. Let them know exactly what to do when the moment comes. I speak courage over fear. Let them stand firm even when standing firm is hard. We declare that their preparation season has not been in vain. Everything they have learned will be used. Everything they have overcome will serve them. Everything they have become will be exactly what they need when the moment arrives. In Jesus' name, we seal this prayer. I concur. If that prayer landed in your spirit, type Amen below. Let your agreement be recorded. And if you made it all the way through this message, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. This word was for you. This moment was ordained and your preparation is almost complete. Subscribe if you have not already, because there is more coming. More words, more revelation, more preparation for what God is doing in your life. You do not want to miss what is next. Share this with someone who is healing in isolation and does not realize they are being prepared for a divine encounter. Send it to someone who needs to know their growth has a purpose. Their boundaries have power. Their healing has a target. Until next time, keep preparing. Keep healing. Keep growing. Because the moment is coming and you will be ready. Not because everything will go perfectly, but because you will show up whole, and that changes everything together. We rise toward the light,